Been recording as of 6:58 p.m. We're good to go. Anytime you want.
Well, good evening, everybody. It is February 14th. The time is 6:59. Welcome to our council meeting. As we have quorum, I will call the meeting to order. I'd like to acknowledge that the city of Maple Ridge carries out its business on the traditional and unceded territory of the Katzie First Nation and the Kwantlen First Nation. Before I move on to the next part, I want to recognize it's February 14th today. What a great place to spend Valentine's Day with all my colleagues and all the great people in the background. How can I say it? I love you all. I already gave out chocolate, so I've got no more chocolate left to give out. So, Mr. Clerk, could you please tell us?
Yes, sir. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be available to the public for playback on our website in accordance with Council Policy 3.12. The purpose of a council meeting is to enact powers given to council using bylaws or resolutions. And this is the venue for debate of issues before voting on bylaw or resolution. The meeting is being conducted through the city's One Meeting platform, but as we're going through implementation, I'm going to ask you still to raise your red, yellow, or green cards. If you're in favor, have a point of order, or if you're against something. There you go. Hopefully everyone has those with them tonight. So to be put on the speakers list, please physically raise your hand or a green card so that the mayor can recognize you and we could put you in the queue. And then we're going to be able to count down with our clerks in the back here to make sure that you have your chance to speak. So for members of the public who would like to speak during the public question period, which is near the end, if you are participating electronically, please register as a speaker by raising your hand on Zoom. Turn on your camera and clearly state your name and city of residence before beginning your comments. And if you're attending the meeting in person, please come forward to the podium where the mayor invites speakers and clearly state your name and city of residence before beginning your comments. So, Mr. Mayor, the first item on tonight's agenda is approval of the agenda. Thank you. Does any member of council have any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda circulated? Moved by Councilor Carrera, seconded by Councilor Youssef. All those in favor? It is unanimous. And it has been passed. Thank you, sir. The next item on tonight's agenda is adoption of the minutes. First, we have the minutes of the regular council meeting of January 31st, 2023. Are there any amendments to these minutes? Seeing none, can I please have a motion to adopt the regular council minutes as circulated? Moved by Councilor Doze, seconded by Councilor Duick. All those in favor? And it is unanimous. Thank you very much. Our next item is item 5.1, which is a presentation at the request of council. And this is the ACT Center update. And I believe Ms. Curtis Pendleton, Artistic Director and Executive Director, is going to be coming forward to speak. And we do have a presentation as well. Step on up. Thank you very much. Welcome. And you have 10 minutes.
Thank you. Very nice to be here. Good evening, Mayor Rumi and members of council. And thank you all for inviting the Arts Council to be your Valentine this evening. Remember how these work. After now 3 years into the pandemic, we have begun to adjust to a changed and very hopeful landscape for the arts in the community as we begin to navigate the endemic phase of COVID-19. The Arts Council's practice of resiliency, flexibility, and creativity has served us well and will continue to do so as we meet the challenges of further impacts. For many, the pandemic has reinforced and accelerated the search for meaning and connection, and the arts are a pathway on that very search. If we had ever taken the arts and what they mean to our sense of self and community for granted, we know now that they are in fact vital to the fabric of our everyday lives and to our community. I'm proud to share the impacts of the Arts Council's work in meeting that need in our community and in our sector for the 21-22 season, as well as where we are now, about halfway through our current season. Last season, we brought our community back together through a year-long celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Maple Ridge Pitt Meadows Arts Council, which was founded in 1971, in activities celebrating a legacy and a future, demonstrating artistic engagement as a buoyant force, elevating a place into a community. Projects over the course of the year included a free summer concert series on the steps of the Act, an oral history project collecting and publishing memories and perspectives on 50 years of the arts in Maple Ridge, an art installation that you can see here on the slideshow made by youth in our learning programs and other community members floated in the Act lobby. A themed art gallery exhibition showcased the works of 102 SD42 secondary art students, and the year-long celebration culminated in a day of free performances in our theaters for a capstone birthday bash event last June. Behind the scenes, the Arts Council community activities included continued support of local arts activities through our arts partner grants and sponsorships, as well as continued and increased scholarship awards to graduating seniors who've exhibited excellence in the arts. We continued to fund bursaries for those in need to participate in our programs. In the theaters, we reconnected live performing artists and audiences through the Act Presents series, offering a slowly increased series to gradually larger houses. Though the Omicron wave in early winter of 2022 forced the postponement of January and February shows, and the health landscape impacted some of our scheduled artists, we finished the season with a smaller but very grateful audience and performing artists, including sold-out performances of Ballet Victoria's Nutcracker, Bruce McCullough, Harry Manx, the National Theatre live broadcasts that brought productions from London, England stages to Maple Ridge. 137 performing artists took the stages at the Act last year in 36 presentations, for a total of 4,500 in this series. Though it was a significant increase over the participation in the year previous, it was still less than half of our pre-pandemic audience. The Arts Council's team of over 30 instructors inspired curiosity and ignited learning and creativity through the arts learning programs, which had record participation through the year. We went back to fully in-person classes and saw a huge increase in participation, serving a total of over 3,300 students of all ages. Oops, sorry. Little back. This doesn't want to go backwards for me.
Would you like me to go back to a specific slide?
Oh, yes, please.
Thank
Could you go to slide 6?
1 sec.
There we go. Okay. We saw a significant uptick in our programs for adults as well, and we were able to recommence Pro D Day activities for teachers in the district and designed workshops for SD42 students. We encouraged and advanced visual literacy and expression through the art gallery's full season of 5 engaging exhibitions and new enhancements, including a new volunteer docent program, a discussion lecture series on topics inspired by the exhibitions, enhancements which offered a deeper connection to the artworks for almost 5,000 visitors throughout the season. Again, less than half of our pre-pandemic numbers. The gallery exhibitions featured works by 64 different visual artists in total. Through all of our activities, we thanked and continue to thank again and again the generosity of our volunteers, without whom we could not continue to deliver any of the programming or operate the Act. We are so very grateful to those who remain steadfast in their generosity of time and talents to the Act. We made improvements to the Act Art Center, home to most of our programs and one of the city's most cherished spots. Improvements made and covered by Arts Council funds were the replacement of the main stage curtain system, replacing the original system with modern fire retardant fabric, upgrading all washroom facilities to touchless features, and recabling the ACT's administrative offices to facilitate modern connectivity. We also worked closely with the city staff over the course of the year to select and plan for a replacement to the original sound system in the main stage theater, which we are eagerly awaiting to install this summer. As stewards of the facility, it is important to note that the Arts Council made and funded nearly $150,000 in improvements to the facility, which, as per our operating agreement, have now become contributions to the city's assets. Thanks to the significant support through the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, the Department of Canadian Heritage, and the BC Arts Council, the Arts Council finished the year in solid and strong finances. Expense reduction exceeded reduced revenues, and we were able to finish the year with a surplus of 18% over expenses in a budget of just over $2 million. The operating grant from the city continues to contribute 1/3 of the operating revenues. As many of the pandemic supports received from the federal and provincial governments were intended as multi-year supports, the board of directors has restricted operating surpluses for future operational needs as we continue to recover participation at the center. Since our fiscal year ended in June of 2022, we've embarked on a new season at the ACT with continued increased activities. So far in our presentation series, we've experienced several sold-out shows, including in our very exciting opening night performance with Stephen Page. Our learning programs are now at a record participation, up 26% over the year previous to date. Our gallery is seeing almost 80% more visitors, and the community use by community organizations and promoters and film shoots are almost back to pre-pandemic levels. We are also making steps to re-engage with community partners and had a very successful fundraiser with the Ridge Meadows Hospital Foundation on the main stage theater. We are not without our continued challenges. We have remained for most of last year and this year at very low staffing levels that have strained our current staff and challenged our operational capacity. Filling vacant positions continues to be a challenge. Our volunteers, on whom we rely heavily for operations of events, are only at 50% of pre-pandemic levels. And our audiences for the shows, especially in the theater, have not fully recovered. Despite these challenges, the fundamentals for the long-term impact of the Arts Council's program and use of the facility remain strong. The community is growing, with newcomers bringing expectations of a high level of arts entertainment options to be available locally. The development within the walking distance of the ACT will see more people in the downtown core, relying on Arts Council programs in all aspects of their lives for entertainment, education, and just connection. And we continue to grow our base of individual and corporate support. Without question, it's clear that living through these pandemic times has affected how people now gather and participate. Some have enthusiastically jumped back into all the arts activities they love, and for others, it will take more time. The Arts Council will continue to connect, inspire, and heal our community through the arts. With the support of our dedicated board members, the incredible dedicated staff who work towards our mission every day, our committed volunteers, and our many generous donors, funders, and supporters. The role that the arts serve in our lives remains as old as the human race: to uplift, to inspire, to help us process and understand the world and celebrate and explore our shared humanity. It has been the Arts Council's privilege to do this for half a century and to continue on into the future. Thank you, Mayor Rumi and Council, for the opportunity to share this report with you this evening, and I'm happy to take your questions or comments.
Thank you, Ms. Pendleton. Indeed, if COVID has shown us anything, is the importance that arts and culture play in our everyday lives. It defines us who we are as a people, as a community, and it shows how critical each program, each play, each musical has on our community, and it helps uplift us all. So having said that, any questions from council comments? So I'll take a speaker's list. Councillor Carreras.
You saw me going for the card. I don't have so much as a question, but just thank you for coming tonight. And I think I am the luckiest counselor to be appointed as liaison to the Arts Council. It's a love of mine. And as many of you know, and I'm grateful to be back there to see the great work that you're doing. Really, really wonderful to hear at our last meeting. And of course, to see tonight how the arts education has really started to come back post-COVID. And the younger generation embracing those arts and culture, because as Mayor Rumi said, that's what creates, it creates vibrant communities. Is the heart and soul is part of your what is it you're saying? The arts bring the arts to the heart of the community. And so it was really nice to see that the younger generation is really stepped up in their participation, and I hope to see them on our stages as soon as we can and in our galleries and performing out there. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other questions, once again, thank you for your presentation. We look forward to visiting some more events at the Act.
Yes, we'll see you all there, we hope. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next item is 6.1, which is the Kanaka Education and Environmental Partnership Society. And we have a presentation by Ross Davies, Education Coordinator, to provide an update on their activities for 2022.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship, the Mayor, members of council, everyone that's here or maybe tuning in on the live stream. I'm Ross Davies, Education Coordinator, and with me tonight, behind me, and get you to wave, is Ann Mark, and there she is on her board of directors on this 4-degree Valentine's Day Maple Ridge evening. There's all the major food groups right there. This thing works. As we say hello to Stella. There's our website, social media thing. I should also mention too, there's a YouTube channel. It's called Kanaka 112. So a lot of details about stuff we won't cover tonight. Our partners are huge. They are everything. They're who we are. There we are at the very top there. We could go down that list as we look at the Metro Vancouver staff seminar on the Canyon Trail back on December 14th of this past year. Now, one clarification, Pacific Parklands Foundation has been renamed recently to the Metro Vancouver Foundation with the same great service, same great fundraising, and the same awesome staff. Now, I'm going to be going up tempo, so a lot of slides, so I'm leaving the fasten seatbelt signs on for the duration. As off we go with 2022, as we look at the gang at Goodbye Chums this past spring. More on that in a minute, obviously. The year starts off, as they so often do. You're looking at 55 chum salmon eggs, one of 17 classroom aquariums throughout School District 42. Now, the students will raise those to fry stage themselves and then let them go sometime in the spring. We also kicked off year 17 partnership with Samuel Robertson School. That started back in 06. And the students checking out Albion Park, their park, and Spencer Creek, and the time-honored tradition of measuring the pH and temperature of the creek. And that creek, by the way, used to be a major problem child, and it's now the poster child. It's one of the finest in the entire watershed, if not the entire world. And sometimes we get Mr. Kitty Cat along the way too. That's just down near Rainbow Bridge last year. I just thought I'd throw that in. Okay, spring break programs, a partnership between Keeps, Metro Vancouver, and the city of Maple Ridge. You know, we saw them happening elsewhere in the community, so we did the Russell Wilson thing and thought, why not us? So we started doing this. In this case, is at the Watershed Stewardship Center. Those students are aquatic insect sampling in what we call the Big Pond, and they're going to take those insects and use them as indicators to assess the quality of the habitat. That's coming up in spring break this year again, too. Now, we have a caterpillar or something there, but what we're really up here to do, we're back at SRT here. I should say we're above it, just above Jackson Avenue. Now, if you mention 2 words to my friend Rod Stott, that would be green infrastructure. Never mind the can of worms, you just opened the whole fishing store. And I want to get the students in on the ground level to see this, and this is great. You've got road runoff going not into a pipe like the old days, but into the ground, filtering out the pollutants. You've got trees along that swale removing carbon and doing all kinds of things. So it's really good to see, and for the students to see it too. Something was majorly cooking down at the fish fence this year. It's quite appropriate. The Arts Council was just ahead of us. We can't match what they're doing, but we gave it our college try. That is Todd Polich, an artist out of Burnaby, who spearheaded that down at the 240th Street Bridge, a project that was years in the planning and in the making to tell the story of this wonderful place, the fish fence, not only the salmon, but the way they connect 4 different classes made the art themselves, and it was superimposed into the mural. And we had quality control come by afterwards, and only the best expertise will do. I think he thought that salmon was real. Okay, now a common theme, isn't it, from everybody is coming out of COVID. We are no different. And last year, our Goodbye Chum Spring Fry Release event came roaring back like a late freight. The attendance was just fantastic. At that place at the Watershed Stewardship Center with Bell Irving Hatchery, over to the left of your screen. That event's coming up on the 29th of April this year, 11 to 2 p.m., in case you're wondering. So it's the bucket list to release salmon fry. It's been going on for well over 30 years. This year, the 40th anniversary of the hatchery, and Keeps turns 25. It makes me feel old. So an interesting story here as we think back to the Samanas in the classroom. This is the other end of that train where this is Greta from Yenadon releasing their classroom reared fry. And the story behind this was so cool. We still had restrictions because of COVID about kids traveling in vehicles for field trips. So Rita said, well, I've got to take all the fry myself to the fish fence. She made an announcement to her class at about 2 o'clock that afternoon saying, do your parents, uncles, aunts, grandparents want to drive you down? I was thinking maybe 2 kids or something. The entire class showed up. It's amazing. Here's a Classroom Watershed Roadshow program that's been going on for a couple of decades. COVID moved it outside onto the school ground. And so many times, right? An unforeseen circumstance pushes you in a direction you probably should have been going along, right? So now we do it outside. It actually makes for a better program. And we partner with Metro Vancouver and TERP staff as well. I just brought up a number at the bottom left of your screen. That's our program attendance for this past year. And boy, oh boy, you hit that 5,000 mark, you're in some pretty rarefied air. Okay, so we are outside at what's called the Frey property near Thornvale Creek, one of several restoration sites. We work with the resource restoration staff, Janice Jarvis, Roy Teal come to mind. And typically these sites will be put back to nature to attract wildlife and provide some habitat. And it really connects the students with the land. They form a connection during that visit. And they'll be part of that land. It'll be part of them for the rest of their lives. I mean, you think about what's going on with the climate. Last 2 years, we've had the driest ever, wettest ever, hottest ever, coldest ever. We've had all those things in less than 2 years. Mother Nature doesn't know if she's coming or going. So it's so important to get our youth aware of the land and the water. Here's our, I should say, day camps in the summer this time, down below at a place called Jerry's Beach, inspecting the flora and fauna with the City of Maple Ridge staff. Honey Bear is interested in my bike, and we do a lot of education along in conjunction with parks to do with wildlife interface. It's a big deal in Maple Ridge, and we want to make sure we're continuing to give these bears a consistent message like the one they're giving us, that when we're in the park, we're in a backward zoo. So we're the ones in the cages. We're staying off game trails, staying where bears expect us to be, so that we can help these mother bears give their youngsters the lessons they need to coexist with humans. And we have never had a single incident down there. It's just amazing given the number of encounters we have. So here is one especially for Valentine's Day.
Aww.
Those are 2 adult siblings actually that have stayed together. Okay, our outreach events came back along with the COVID tide kind of reining back a little bit. The return of the Fall Getty Fest right outside the door here at the Peace Park. There's Michael and Carissa at our booth. That event returned after 3 or 4 years we didn't have it. And another program called the George Ross Legacy Fund. I want to put a shout out for that. We can access funding through that to undertake habitat projects. And this one is just west of the fish fence where that site's being replanted to make, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, a smorgasbord for bears to keep them encouraged to be in the park. So they won't be rummaging through neighborhoods and going after recycling and things. And it seems to work because the very day we finished the first day, there comes Inspector 12 to take a look. He seems satisfied. It's October. That's forest fire smoke. Go figure. Never seen that before. And another one of those endless climate change reality things. The salmon came home against all odds. They stacked up in Kanaka because they had no place left to go. The creek was so low. But there was enough around where hatchery manager Darren McLean and others put on the Return of the Salmon Fall Classic to the tune of 500 or so visitors down at the fish fence. And there's a program with Metro Vancouver Regional Parks that we worked with the very next week. Vanessa Lee is our Metro Vancouver Parks Interpretation Specialist. There she is, a great partner to work with. And our fall fish fence roving, where we take that site and showcase it for several consecutive Sundays to make sure people can come down and see salmon in their hometown. And speaking of salmon, that could well be the largest salmon ever recorded in Kanaka Creek. It's a Chinook salmon. It's obviously a male, just massive. 10 of these fish showed up this fall. We're thinking maybe strays from Chilliwack or Harrison, or possibly a combination of both. Either way, we'll take it. And we've always get these moments every year. This is Halloween and what else is new, but nothing like previous years. This past fall was relatively tame. There was a bit of golly gee whizzes with that, but it really wasn't that bad at all. But you can see some of the improvements at the site to go with the mural project I showed you, some new seating and split rail fencing. So the site's looking pretty good down there.
As much as I love to hear the sound of your voice, we got to try to wrap it up, or we're getting there.
Okay, we're getting close. 1 minute to go. A chum salmon egg.
We're actually over time, but that's okay.
Take your eggs, your white milk, add a bit of water, and mathematician Ann tallies them up, and they're snug as a bug in the rug till spring. And a fall open house called Let the Excitement Begin. And that brings us all the way home as we're coming in hot over Rainbow Bridge. So that will do it, unless there's any comments or questions.
Oh, I'm sure we will have. For as long as I've known you, you've been my educator in nature, growing up as a city boy from Montreal. Little creepy crawlies freak me out, but I feel a little bit better because you have a way of presenting things that aren't so scary and harmful. So having said that, we'll open up for questions or comments. Councillor Youssef, followed by Councillor Schiller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Russ, for the presentation. I have the privilege of being the Keeps Council liaison, excuse me. And it's always refreshing and inspiring to see not just Ross's dedication, but the rest of the board members and the volunteers there at the hatchery and the work they do. Your programs and events have been phenomenally amazing throughout the community, not only, excuse me, not only are they educational, they're also very interesting and entertaining for all ages, and myself included. And I do my best to bring my children out to as many events as I can. And I just want to take this opportunity to recognize you and the board and the volunteers out there at the hatchery. And thank you for the work that you're doing in our community. It's really, really inspiring to see that. And the work that you do with students, with the next generation that's up and coming is priceless. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Councillor Schiller.
Thank you very much. It was a great presentation. And I know that sort of reflects the communication style that Keeps has that's very engaging. And I know that's part of the success in getting people interested in all these different things. I have lots to learn about the work of this group. You mentioned about the habitat restoration projects that you were doing. And I wondered if you could just tell me a little bit more about sort of how that got started and maybe how many projects you guys have worked on and what your plans are for the future.
Yeah, the most common theme through that is that Metro Vancouver has been acquiring more and more land to add more connectivity to Kanaka Creek Regional Park. And quite often, more often than not, there's an old rental house on these properties. So the house gets taken away. And then we come in and then inevitably an invasive species try to take over. So we need to get one step ahead of them. and then come back with native vegetation and maintain the site for however long it takes.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Tan.
Hey Ross, I just want to say it's a pleasure to do whatever can to support you in the back end. I'm the council liaison to the Metro Van Parks Committee, and it's a pleasure to see Keeps come up in our work plan. And a couple of us are down by the fish fence last fall, and I had a great pleasure of spending like 20 minutes talking to a gentleman there who was at one of the booths, and he really explained to me in something like in his 20 years of being down there and seeing the creek change and what that meant for the salmon and what that meant for the bears. And he really just took that time to explain that to me. And I'm really grateful for people like him and also the rest of Keeps. And so I just wanted to put that out there and say thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further comments. Again, thank you, Ross, for being here today. A tremendous job that you do there. Looking forward to more programming and seeing what else is out there. Thank you.
All right, sir, our next item is item 6.2, which is the Ridge Meadows Chamber of Commerce. And we have Christy Meyer to present on available Chamber of Commerce services, events, and marketing. And there is no PowerPoint presentation, but all the council members have a handout at their stations, which talks about those programs.
Welcome, Ms. Mayor. You have 10 minutes.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Mayor and Council for giving the Ridge Meadows Chamber the opportunity to present in front of you today. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting some of you yet, so please let me introduce myself. My name is Christy Meyer, and I'm honored to be the Executive Director of the Ridge Meadows Chamber of Commerce. Here with me today are some of my board of directors. We have Jerry Cook, Chamber President, Ken Holland here with me. He's past president and current director. And Kevin Noseworthy, he is our previous benefit provider for the Chamber Plan and current director. The Chamber is very excited to work alongside each of you. And I can honestly say the past 4 months as Executive Director has been so wonderful. And that is part because of how welcoming everyone has been at the City of Maple Ridge, including your Economic Development Division. Chamber World is not new to me. And coming into this role, one of my top goals was to build a strong and lasting relationship with both cities, including creating events, programs, and policies together. There will be times where the Chamber will need to go to bat for our members and come to you with needs from our business community. But this can be done in a way that is professional and collaborative. When I think about what chambers really are, a few things come to mind. We are champions for the challenges that our business community faces. We are a catalyst for economic development. We fight for policy and our community's needs, and we create supportive and collaborative space for businesses to come together. We have provided you with a proposal that we feel embodies a healthy, collaborative relationship, supports our thriving business community, but also helps build a stronger foundation for businesses to grow and start their journey. The funding that we hope to receive will not only help us build this chamber to its full potential, but it will also help us create new and exciting events, programs, and promotions. Our current financial status is not sustainable for the long term. The past year has been trying with leadership turnover and the pandemic, but I am here to change that. Unfortunately, we can't do this alone. So with the city's support, we would be able to catapult the chamber to where it should be. As we only have a few minutes to talk and present, I would like to highlight a few details on each point of our proposal that we provided to all of you. First on the list is our business greetings. As of now, the City of Maple Ridge doesn't have a way for us to know what businesses have been approved for licensing. This would be an amazing tool that we can use to help welcome each new business, as well as help them get their business started. We would love to send out a handwritten card to each new business, so that if there's any way that your licensing department can loop us in on who is new to the city each month, we can then make sure that each new business feels welcome into our community. Next is the new business package. We feel that this is a great service that we can add to help anyone looking to start a business. We currently get a lot of walk-ins looking for support on name requests and the next steps on how to open their business. We would work alongside the city to put together a package that will walk individuals through opening a business step by step. We can also assist in a name search and the submission. Business walks are a great way to make a business community feel appreciated and feel the connection between the city and the chamber. Maple Ridge is large, and some of our businesses outside of the downtown core don't feel like they are recognized and noticed as much. This is a great way to show our presence and collaboration and to stop by and show that we care about their business and how their business is doing. This chamber is already working alongside Tyler on from your economic development team on Entrepreneur Series. We've been talking to individuals from the Government of Canada, Douglas College, HR professionals, leadership coaches, and more to build a successful series that can help businesses grow and succeed. Lots of entrepreneurs start a business, but they don't know the ins and the outs of running one. This is where we can come in and help create these training sessions for them. We currently host one large signature event at the chamber. That is our Business Excellence Awards. We want to host a few more large events, and that is why we created the Business Expo and the Women in Business event. The Business Expo will be a large-scale trade show style event where businesses can showcase what they have to offer, as well as celebrating our amazing food and beverage businesses that we have here in our city. The next event that we would like to create would be our Women in Business event. This event is personally one of my favorites and is very close to my heart. We have such an amazing roster of female-owned businesses and business professionals in Maple Ridge, and we want to celebrate them. With our proposal, you will also receive a copy of our corporate partner sponsorship package. We would like to have the City of Maple Ridge on as one of our partners. This is over a $12,000 value for $5,000. The last few offerings in our proposal include having a dedicated page on our website, offering all new businesses a $50 discount on their memberships. All city employees, mayor, and council can attend most of our events for free. Monthly blog posts on our website, providing a visitors and tourism hub, and creating an event strictly for home-based businesses. In return, we are asking and hoping that the City of Maple Ridge would provide us with $85,000 and office space at City Hall. Our office, unfortunately, has gone through a little bit of a rough patch this past couple of weeks. We've had a large leak in our office that has caused some major water damage, and we are unsure if the water is behind the walls and what the level of damage there is. At this time, we're unable to afford a different space to lease with the current prices. We also feel that having an office close to your economic development team would give us the opportunity to collaborate more frequently. We understand that there might not be available space within City Hall, so we put together an alternative request in hopes that we could get $115,000 so we can find a new commercial location that is safe for our team. With all this said, the chamber is open to working with the city outside of these offerings. We want to grow and collaborate alongside you now and in the future. I will end this with one last note. I'm extremely passionate about the chamber and businesses within Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows, and I hope to be able to prove to all of you that I'm here to make a difference and not just coast with the same old narrative. The chamber is looking to be a collaborator, a partner, and ally with the City of Maple Ridge. I'll now pass this off to Director Ken Holland to say a few words to end our presentation.
Thank you, Christy. Happy Valentine's Day, Council and Mr. Mayor. This chamber is 113 years old, except for a little stint during World War I. We've operated for 113 years. I've been on this board for over 13 years. And when I started my business, I made sure I built relationships. And that's the first thing I did when I joined this chamber. I built relationships. And that's what we're asking for here. Together, we go further. So that's what we're asking for. We can take a lot of pressure off of the back end of the house here, and we can do all this stuff. We have the expertise to do this business. Chamber of Commerce, commerce is business. We've built relationships with other chambers, with other municipalities, and we're doing rather well. I've already destroyed one Chamber of Commerce office, by the way, the old one on the Chevron site, and I don't want to do another one. So that's our little pitch for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to everyone for listening, and happy Valentine's Day. I'm glad to spend it with all of you. Oh, yeah, right. Questions? Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. Very enlightening. As we embark on our own strategic plan for economic development, it's important to engage all of our sectors. Sorry?
Microphone.
Oh. Okay. I don't have to repeat that, do I?
I heard you. It's okay.
Okay. So thank you for your presentation. I'll now open it up for questions. Councillor Youssef, followed by Councillor Dewick, and then Councillor Tan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you guys for coming out today and spending your Valentine's Day with us. The work that you do is instrumental, and of course, the impact is felt by all the businesses that do take the opportunity to join you. I appreciate it, and I look forward to continuing now this year being your council liaison. So, two out of 3 tonight. My question through the chair is, with the funding that's required, or shall we say the financial commitment that you're proposing, is this going to be a one-time, let's say if it's the $115,000, is this going to be a one-time commitment, or is this going to be an ongoing commitment?
Yeah, I think moving forward, we would love to be able to work together on more. And with this 115, this is going to give us a good baseline that we can grow with and move forward with. But the 115, I feel, would cover us for at least a few years, and then maybe coming back and looking at it again, maybe 3 years down the road.
Thank you for that, and perfectly understand the urgency that you're facing right now with finding a new office. It's unfortunate that the chamber does not have a permanent home, and I think that's something that maybe a goal for us to strive towards. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Those are my comments and questions.
Thank you, Councillor Dewick.
Thank you very much for your presentation and for your passion, and I echo the comments of my colleague. And as a former liaison to the chamber, I really appreciate the work that you do to support business in our community. Many years ago, when I had my consulting firm, I was part of the chamber in order to get benefits. And it's just those things that people don't realize the importance of knowing what the chamber does to serve small businesses. So my question is really through to staff. How do we take this request? Is it something that's going to go through the CAO's office?
So I have a motion once we're finished questions that we can.
Okay. But I really appreciate the direction that you're taking the chamber and the work of your board and previous boards, because there's just like council, there's no one board or one council that achieves things. It's a culmination of years of work. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to Ms. Meyer and to the directors here today. Exciting for us because as we think about our council direction for wanting Maple Ridge to be an innovation and economic hotspot, this is an important presentation for us. And I'm curious just to hear your viewpoint and see how you see economic development in Maple Ridge. What sort of businesses are or sort of in the chamber's radar here of how you would like to see Maple Ridge growing?
Yeah. So, I mean, the other week I actually visited Ken up at the Kanaka Business Park, and his wife works up there, and it's absolutely amazing, the space that's up there. And I think there's so much growth when it comes to manufacturing, more just larger businesses that can have space to build, to create. Your wife does the what is it?
It's a
Mill. It's a mill.
Remanufacturing.
Right. So more business like that, I think, is really important. I think your economic development director, Tyler, is doing an absolutely amazing job. And he really is connecting me. I am new to this position. I'm only 4 months in. So he is really connecting me with a lot of people within the community and learning where our needs are. And I really look forward to building an even stronger relationship with Tyler. But I think what I would like to do is put a survey out to our members to really put a pinpoint on like where our members are, where their pain points are, and what we can do as a chamber to help them. But yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments?
I'd
No?
just like to point out this, we're not setting precedent here. This is a relationship that happens in different municipalities. It has happened here. Our chamber and our city hall worked together in the past. So throwing that
Thank
out
you.
there.
Thank you. So what I have is a proposed motion. And if we can put it onto, is it on the screen? Or no? No, I'll just read it. Okay.
Sir, if you want to read it out, we're going to type it in and then
Okay.
we could actually put it into the system for,
Why don't I read it out?
sure.
Okay. That staff review the Chamber of Commerce programs and look at options to collaborate and support these programs.
Okay, so
Can I get a motion to, are we okay with it? Is it up?
it's up there. And if we could just go slow, just to make sure that we can register the mover and the
Okay,
seconder.
can I get a mover? We have Councillor Duick, seconded by Councillor Youssef. We can vote on it now, right?
Yes.
All those in favor?
We could do discussion if,
Okay. I open for further discussion. Councillor Doze.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to, first of all, thank you guys for the work you are doing. And I cannot kind of now find the right word to express the joy I have in my heart that someone as fresh and new as 4 months, is already thinking about running, with this. And let me put it on record that the chambers of commerce you have in almost every city had always played an important role in the economic development of that particular city. I have the privilege of working closely with the chambers of commerce in Port Coquitlam some years back, and I do know that they do make substantial contribution to that. Therefore, I can only offer my little word of encouragement that all eyes are on you. We are watching and we are listening, we are hoping. And it is my hope that this council will find it in their hearts to do something and work collaboratively with you towards achieving this objective on one condition, that you continue with the zeal you have, and not just the zeal alone, but bring us results. Because as far as I'm concerned, Maple Ridge is too late to the party, and we need to really do everything possible to catch up. And you have a very important role to play in this. On that note, I want to thank you once again for that. And through Mr. Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity to thank them.
Thank you very much, Councillor Carreras.
Thank you. And thank you for your presentation tonight and the information. And for the first time in a very long time, I won't be at the Business Excellence Awards. I've been there. I was the MC one year, which was really a highlight of my time. But we're away, so I'm really sorry to miss it. But it's a procedural piece on this. Well, like motions from the floor. But I just have a question. So the motion is that staff review Chamber of Commerce programs and look at options to collaborate and support these programs. Is there any report back to us on this or any decision? Like, is it a report for staff to investigate and then for it to come back to us with a report out? Is there further decision that we have to make on this? Or is this essentially just a staff position that's come to council?
Mr. Hartman.
Through the chair to Councillor Carreras, the suggestion would be that staff would meet with the chamber, review the partnership proposal, have a broader understanding, and report back to council in preparation for business planning, which is scheduled for March 27th and 29th.
Okay.
And we'll see where that fits within that overall cycle so that council can have that fulsome discussion at that time.
Okay, that's where I see this coming in is through business.
Correct.
Through business planning. That's how I see funding requests come in. So we see how it fits into the overall budget. Do we need to amend this so that it does talk about a report coming back to council? Because right now we're giving direction to staff and there's nothing that says it needs to come back. So
We can certainly amend it.
Yes. So
Discuss
through the
that.
chair, what we could do is we could have a motion to amend and then vote on the main motion. So the motion to amend would be to support these programs and to report back to council by X date, something to
Okay.
that effect.
and would before to report back to council as part of the business planning process or as part of the business plan. So that's the amendment that I would like to
Okay.
make to that.
And through the chair, I'm not sure if we could actually capture that right now in our system as it is, but it's being recorded. So we could actually go back and in the minutes, we're going to have the amendment to the motion and then voting on the main motion. So the amendment is to report back during business planning.
Okay, so I've moved that amendment.
Okay, could we get somebody to second it?
Seconded by Councillor Tan. Any discussion on the amendment? Councillor Dewitt?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I appreciate that the overall decision will be at business planning, but is there any reason we couldn't get an update before that? If particularly because they're asking for space, given their situation? And I know that space is a challenge for us, but maybe that it's a temporary space or something.
Through the chair to Councillor Dewick, again, I think staff need time to review the proposal, look at all of the requests and the requirements as well as the space. It's not going to be a quick fix, but targeting around that business planning time, regardless of what the process looks like, I think that's where this overall discussion needs to fit as we start looking at what we can do in kind as well as what we can do financially. And I think the time for us to have that conversation is around the 27th, 29th of March.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the amendment? Okay, all those in favor of the amendment? It is unanimous. And now we will go to the main motion. Any further discussion on the main motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you both for your presentation.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The next item is item 7, which is the consent agenda. And we have a number of items on this. We have the Metro Vancouver Board in brief for January 27, 2023, which is an informal summary of the Vancouver Metro meeting that happened on that date, and development agreements committee minutes from February 1, 2023 and February 8, 2023. So the recommendation is that the items contained be received into the record.
Thank you. There are 2 items on tonight's consent agenda. Does any member of council wish to remove any items for discussion? No. Just waving goodbye. Okay, thank you. Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, can you please read the motion?
So that the items contained in the February 14, 2023 regular council consent agenda be received into the record. So we'll need a mover and a seconder.
Thank you. Can I have a movender? It's a long day. Moved by Councillor Carrera, seconded by Councillor Dewick. Any discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. Please vote by holding up your cards. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion has passed.
Right, sir. The next item is 9.1, which is a rezoning housekeeping amendment to allow bylaw 7600/2019 to be given 3rd reading and to be adopted.
Thank you. Would anyone like to move the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Youssef, seconded by Councillor Doze. Any debate? Or we're debating this, right?
Discussion.
Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I will call the question. The motion is to give 3rd reading and adopt zone amending bylaw number 7894, 2022 to allow for housekeeping amendments to zoning bylaw number 7600-2019 has been moved and seconded. No discussion. Seeing as how there's no discussion, I will call the question. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion has been carried.
Okay, the next item is 9.2. This is 2020-062 RZ, and this is an adoption of amendments to permit the future construction of a mixed-use commercial building with approximately 67 apartments and 768 square meters of ground level commercial space to be adopted. So need
Thank
a
you.
mover and a seconder.
Can I get a mover? Yeah, moved by Councillor Youssef and seconded by Councillor Doze. Thank you very much. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It is unanimous. Motion has been carried.
Thank you, sir. Next item is 10.1. This is 2022-434 RZ pertaining to 24369 110th Avenue, which is a rezoning from RS3 to RS1D. And this is recommending a future subdivision of approximately 8 single-family lots be given first reading and that the applicant provide further information as outlined in the report.
Thank you very much. Can I get a mover? Moved by Councillor Youssef, seconded by Councillor Doze. Any discussion? Councillor Youssef, followed by Councillor Schiller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just real briefly on this application, the only comfort that I have in going through with this is that it fits into the neighborhood, that it is connected to services. And of course, I have a lot of faith in our environmental department in that ensuring that not only at this stage, at first reading, we're protecting our environment, but even going forward, I'd like to ensure that staff are now aware of some of the things that may come up, be it permeable surfaces or different materials that will be used in the construction of these homes to ensure that they interface with both the wildlife, if you will, that's around that area, as well as of course, the waterways going through and around the property. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. Those are my comments.
Thank you very much, Councillor Schiller.
Thank you. So I have reviewed the material and looked over the package. I went to the site as well, and I understand that this does fit within the recommendations for the area, and I will be supporting it in moving forward. But I do have to say that as somebody new to this position and who still has a lot to learn, when I was looking at this, I did have some questions in my mind about the overall benefits to the community, expanding the developable land and continuing to pave roads eastward. Just wondering about the overall benefit of the community to moving forward with that. But like I say, I appreciate I still have a lot to learn, and those are sort of bigger picture questions, but I did want to share that perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any for Councillor Tan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I'm going to pick up on Councillor Schiller's comments there. I am looking at this. I think about where we want to go in these next 4 years of providing affordable homes that are transit-oriented development, close to services, close to public transit. And when I look at this, I think that I see a large eastward expansion, and I see. I see a lot of infrastructure work that would be required here, as we discussed during committee. I see a lot of sidewalks that need to be built, streetlights, and other infrastructure that, although will be paid for by the developer, will require maintenance by the city in the long term. And I wonder about fiscally whether that is the responsible thing for us to do, to continue putting in subdivisions at places that will require a fair amount of infrastructure maintenance. Having said that, when I look at this lot and I look at on either side of this lot, we have already granted subdivisions, to my understanding, to areas around this lot on the same street. And at this point, my understanding is that we are required to put in that infrastructure. And so at this point, it would seem to behoove us to then make use of the infrastructure as best as we can. So I'm open to other thoughts around the table, but for now, I am leaning towards supporting this subdivision, but I just want to state here my concerns that wanting to move our focus to developments that are closer to the down center, that are multifamily apartments, closer to services and closer to public transit, without those long-term infrastructure cost maintenance. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further, Councillor Carreras?
Thank you. I'm reluctantly going to support this at first reading. Again, because the decisions have already been made, sort of the way that this region of our community is moving and how it's moving towards single family homes by other decisions previously made. So it fits into the area. I do want to caution us as we move forward with the Albion plan, the Northeast Albion plan, and as we continue to build more in the Albion area, there's nowhere for our kids to go to school in the east side. Like, these schools are filling up at 12:01, kindergarten is full. So I know that it's a different jurisdiction, but if there's anything we can do to support the school district in their advocacy to get more schools in the area, I would be happy to, if we could look at ways like that, because I know that we need to build housing, and the way of the area plans is that we're going that way, but we need to make sure that the resources and the facilities are in place for the families that move into. So they're not having to drive all the way out to East Maple Ridge.
Thank you. We're good? Okay, any further comments, discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Motion has been carried. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next item is item 10.2, and this is 2023-011 RZ pertaining to 22490, 22504, and 22514 121st Avenue and 12085 Edge Street. And this is a rezoning from RS1 to RM2, and it is to permit a 128 building, permit a 6-story, 128 unit building be given first reading, and that the applicant provide further information as outlined in the report.
Thank you. Can I get a mover? Moved by Councillor Youssef, seconded by Councillor Carreras. Any discussion? Councillor Carreras.
Thank you. I just want to quickly note, and I did, as well as Councillor Town, bring this up during committee of the whole, but I do again just want to say I want to thank this. I know it's first reading, that there are 3 bedrooms. Although there's only a few, but there's still 3 bedrooms. And I know that there was, an article written about it too. And there's still, I guess, some comments in the community that 3 bedrooms maybe don't sell as quickly, or that families aren't living in 3 bedrooms. And I want to tell you that families are living in 2-bedroom condos now. Children are there because of the affordability piece. And we have a housing report that says that we need 3-bedroom condos, apartments, whatever you want to call them. And so I'm really happy to see that there are going to be some additions to 3 bedrooms in our community, because I think as we move forward into the future, that we are going to see more and more families choosing apartment or condo living because of the affordability piece. And there are more people that are going to be choosing 3 bedrooms. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to support what Councillor Carrera said, because as I look at this, I understand with our structure that this is first reading, the application is at first reading, and right now it's a land use question and we're not getting to the details of the application. And I'm very much leaning towards supporting the use of the land being used for a multi-family. I'm having trouble with my words here. For an apartment that will support multi-family units. There we go. And so I will say that I will second the thought that there have been comments in our community about whether 3 bedrooms sell out as quickly as 1 bedroom. And I will say that I think that the question is not about this particular app. When it comes to that concept, it's not about one particular application, it's about where we want our community to go. And what we don't want our community to go is having families pushed out the fringes of our community and then having to drive in for services. We want a community that with families being able to stay close to our downtown core and close to services, which is why I want to make it very clear at first reading to the developer and to other developers considering applications in our town center that this is where we want to go. We want to have families in our town center close to services. And the second point that I want to put in here is about the environmental standards that will build this building and other buildings are going to be that we will want these buildings to live up to, as stewards of the environment and stewards of climate. That it is important to us that these buildings do adhere to the step code and also consider the carbon pollution standards that are being released by the province. So those are my comments.
Thank you very much. Any further comments or discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion has been carried.
Right. Thank you, sir. The next item is item 10.3, which is a DVP DP for unaddressed lot PID 008130493. And this is to permit this is recommending that the corporate officer authorize and sign a development variance permit for 3 properties. And I understand that there were 55 mailed out notices and 0 received back in opposition.
Thank you very much. Can I get a mover? Moved by Councillor Youssef, seconded by Councillor Duick. Open for discussion. Being none, I will call the question. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Motion has been carried.
Thank you, sir. Our next item is item 10.4, which is pertaining to the temporary borrowing bylaw, and this is to remove the expiry date of loan authorization bylaws for Silver Valley Neighborhood Gathering Places, Wannock Lake Canoe and Kayak Facility Improvements, and Ice Sheet Addition that will be given first, second, and third readings.
Thank you. Can I get a mover? Moved by Councillor Youssef, seconded by Councillor Schiller. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion has been carried.
All right. Thank you, sir. Those are all the items that we've had scheduled on the agenda, other than next item, which is staff reports under 11 or other matters deemed expedient. And then we have section 13, which is question period.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody in council chambers that would like to address? Seeing none, is there anybody online that would like to address council? Nobody online? Oh, we do have somebody. Yeah, come on down, come on down, come on down. Thank you.
Hello.
Please state your name and your address, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Okay, hey, I'm Brian Malfazy from Maple Ridge. I live out in Wannock. I'm part of the Ridge Canoe Kayak Club, and I just want to say thank you for looking back at our Wannock Lake improvements. It's really important to the club. It's really important to the community. We have thousands of students and community members go through the club every year, and our facilities have been deteriorating over the 40 years it's been open. So just thank you for looking back into it and extending that deadline for the borrowing.
Thank you for being here and sharing that with us. It's important. Thank you.
Thanks.
Nobody online, nobody else in council, seeing no other speakers.
So the next item is number 14, which is mayor and councillor verbal reports.
Okay. Speakers, anybody wishes to, Councillor Youssef, followed by Councillor Carreras.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just real brief, 2 meetings that I've had the privilege of attending on behalf of council. I believe Councillor Schiller is actually the liaison for ARMS. I wasn't sure, but I was roped into the meeting, not complaining at all. I very much enjoy the group, but they did raise concerns about during the meeting about boats being discarded along the Fraser, some of the fuels and fluids that would be impacting the environment around there. Of course, having to navigate the multi-jurisdictional bureaucratic maze is the biggest frustration that they face. However, they commented that they found a willing and cooperative partner in the city of Maple Ridge. Moving forward, they would like to raise that the floodplain designation map from the city does not match up with that of the province. So maybe if staff can note that and possibly pass the information to Councillor Schiller, as she'll be going forward as their liaison. The second meeting was the Liquid Waste Committee, of course, at Metro Vancouver, where there was consideration for the wet weather cost apportionment approach. It's a 10-year phase-in starting next year with 3-year reviews, and that will bring about 2.5% increase in the cost over the 10-year period for Maple Ridge. The cost to the individual household is approximately $20 per year for this increased fee. And it's to, if I may explain it, Mr. Chair, it's during the wet season when we have rains, the infiltration that we have from stormwater into the sewer does affect the performance of the system as a whole. And this, of course, is why we continue to invest so heavily in capital costs to have big enough facilities to process the excessive flow that comes into the system. Realizing that Vancouver and New West are still using a mixed or combined sewer system for both sewer and stormwater, unlike many other municipalities, there is discussion in the region about having the approach accommodate that, where those two cities will have to invest significantly heavier capital costs than many others. And lastly, Mr. Chair, there was also discussion of the Wipe It and Green Bin It campaign. The results were presented as to how successful the campaign was in keeping grease out of the sewer, including fats and oils. The two most common and least recognized offenders, if you will, are salad dressing and dairy products. Ironically enough, going down the drains, they cause most of the issues. And there was also another plan for a further campaign going forward for another 6 weeks in the coming year. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is my report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Carreras.
Thank you very much. Just a quick update on a couple of committees that have happened. The Audit and Finance Committee met last week. Councillor Tan, Mayor Rumi, and myself are on there. We reviewed the terms of reference and work plan and the work that we'll need to do as it comes to council. Also, the Parks, Recreation and Culture Committee met for the first time last week as well. And that was a really exciting time for everybody to see each other. And I want to congratulate Carolyn Gosling, who's taken on the role of chair, has a long history of Parks and Recreation. It's a sort of a love of family within the commission in its previous way. Stefan Vincent Chelsea took over as vice chair. Is a fabulous leader in the province, lives in Maple Ridge with his young family. We reviewed the master plan and some of the feedback that we saw from the last round, the round we just finished. And there's a couple of new recommendations when we see it at the end of February based on the latest round. And I think they're still finalizing that feedback. And I think it'll be really exciting when it comes back to us in February. I just want to acknowledge, I know today is Valentine's Day, but February 14th also signifies the annual Women's March. Honor and remember Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit peoples that have been murdered or are still missing. And I wear my red dress today to remember, to honor, and to recommit to working harder every single day to do better for Indigenous women, girls, and Two-People spirit in our community. And we had a march in Maple Ridge this morning, which we were unable to attend because we were here in meeting, but I do want to raise my hands to the organizers for putting this on every year and for reminding us in the community that it's going to take all of us working together as a community to protect those that are at risk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tan.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I have two items. The first is I'd like to say that Councillor Schiller and I were at a climate conference last week, and we learned a lot about on the techniques to advance climate stewardship in local government. We heard a lot about standardization across the region when it comes to building codes and the carbon pollution standard, and how useful it is to developers that if local governments can standardize their codes across the region, and so they don't have to figure out what the code for Maple Ridge is and what the requirements for North Vancouver is, and that there's a lot of work that's already been done by municipalities like North Vancouver that we can look at and learn from. And so I think about how important things like that are, given that we are stewards of the land, we're stewards of the environment and also of the climate. The second item that I wanted to talk about is I just want to take this moment to celebrate that it's Black History Month. And, I'm still learning a lot about Black history in our community. I think about Karina LeBlanc and the sports field that we've rightly named after her and her many accomplishments on the international stage, Maple Ridge resident, and how she's really done us proud with her work in soccer and the international stage. I think about Viola Desmond on our Canadian $10 bill, because she walked into a movie theater in Nova Scotia and said, "I'm not putting out this racial segregation nonsense," and then sat in an area that was reserved for white people only. And I think about that, and I think about how much courage that takes, and I try to, there's so much that I can learn from that. And I want to say to you that it's not about history, that I learn about history, so that when we think about what it looks like to ambitiously push for a better future in Maple Ridge, that we push for a better future base that's rooted in our history, and that also that's a future that serves everyone and that draws from everyone's strengths. So that's it for me, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Appreciate those comments. Councillor Schiller.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to jump in quickly to acknowledge that there was a miscommunication around the ARMS meeting schedule. Thank you, Councillor Youssef, for jumping in. And I look very forward to speaking with you and the ARMS members to get up to speed on all things ARMS. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Dode.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I actually was going to say something before Councillor Tan took the word out of my mouth and left me with nothing to say, but to say thank you very much for studying and knowing so much about Black history. Seriously speaking, I think that to those of us who have very close affinity with this celebration, I want to say most importantly that what it signifies in our life, our lives will actually be more achieved by our people generally being very reconciliatory in everything we do. It is okay to say that several years ago, some innocent women were murdered and some Black people suffered all sorts of persecution and all the rest of that. But the question remains whether there has been that integration and reconciliation among all these people. And I think one of the things I want to bring to the fore today will be if our people will learn to understand and live together with one another, so that at the end of the day, we realize that it doesn't matter what you are, class, color, creed, religion, and what have you. We have the same blood flowing in our veins. And if we want to work together as a people, I think we will go far and achieve our joint objectives. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to say this.
Thank you very much for lending your perspective to us as well. Any further? Okay, I won't repeat other things that have been said, but I will say that I was excited that last week we had our first 2024 Summer Games nomination committee. So it was a very well attended committee that included members of First Nations, as well as members of PLE and other community members. We're starting the process. The first step is we're looking for our president and vice president. And then after that, we'll be looking for about 14 directors. So I just want to thank Mr. Laban for your leadership in that. It's exciting to see where these games are going to take us and looking forward to future meetings. And that's all I have to add. That's all I have to say about that. That's it. Seeing as how there's no other items on the agenda, then I will call the adjournment. It is 8:18. Happy Valentine's Day.